With spring just around the corner, it's almost maple syrup season. Maple syrup is almost part of our Canadian identity. We love its taste and all of the traditions that go with making it. It is also an important Canadian industry. But what would happen if it disappeared or became unaffordable? Climate change is causing different changes in this vital industry. Let's explore these changes in GreenLearning's Maple Syrup Inquiry. Let's launch the program. Before we begin, I would like to mention some links that will help you along the way. If you scroll down, you will find a link to a list of resources that will be a helpful reference tool throughout your discussion and research. You can also find a link to learn more about the spiral inquiry model, a link to the curriculum, and an achievement chart for your teacher to use. Please pause this video if you would like to take a moment to explore these links. Let's begin by viewing this quick introductory video on the maple syrup inquiry. Please press pause on this recording while you watch the video and resume it after you are finished. Now that you have viewed the video, let's start by selecting Step 1, the spark. The spark is the key to igniting curiosity, and it draws you into thinking critically about a topic or an issue. As a class, or virtually, serve a pancake breakfast using maple syrup or corn syrup as toppings for comparison. Let's spark the inquiry by generating a discussion to the question, will maple syrup still be available and affordable by 2050? Please pause this recording for discussion. Hit play when you are ready to resume. Now that you have had some time to discuss, let's talk about supply and demand. What aspect of climate change might impact supply of maple syrup? Is this changes in the weather, or is the climate changing? How do we know? Where can we find out? Please pause the recording to think about and discuss these questions. Other questions to spark the inquiry are, what if maple syrup costs $100 per liter? What if all our maple syrup was shipped to China? Why do maple producers watch the weather report like eagles? You may pause the video now to discuss these questions. Other options for general discussion. Explain how people have utilized their understanding of weather patterns for various purposes, example, to harvest sap and produce maple syrup. Explain the role of weather dynamics in environmental phenomena and consider the consequences to humans of changes in weather, example, global warming and its impact on maple syrup production. With parental permission, share an image of your pancake breakfast on social media using hashtag maplesyrupgl or email us at programs@greenlearning.ca. Now, let's move on to Step 2, hypothesize and plan. Working as a class in small groups or over Zoom, decide on the focus of your inquiry. Use the spark discussion and activities to help you decide. You can also revisit the pancake breakfast and think of the issues, topics, and climate change concerns that were shared. Please pause the video now for discussion and resume it when you are ready. If you have specific issues or topics that connect climate change with maple syrup, share them with others and get them thinking via social media. You are now ready to move on to create your group's inquiry question or questions. Have your group meet and discuss what they have taken away from the class brainstorming and discussions. What interests you about maple syrup and the changes that are coming with climate change? What issues interest your group and are relevant to their lives? What topics do you want to research? Your inquiry question needs to investigate both the impacts of climate change on maple syrup and the actions required to address it. You could state your question as a hypothesis using if blank, then blank language. For example, if climate change continues as it is, then maple syrup will be unaffordable for me to serve my children. Remember, when you are conducting your inquiry, you may need to modify your question or hypothesis. Remember to make it something that is testable and workable within the time you have. Pause the video now for your group discussion. Once you have your inquiry question and/or hypothesis, use social media to post this for schools across Canada to see. Next, in your groups or individually, plan each step of your inquiry. You can download and fill out check-in worksheet number 1. We have created this Word document for you to directly input your answers, or you can print it out for use. Please press pause as you complete your worksheet before continuing on to Step 3. Step 3. Explore and research. Pick your topic, research, record, and reflect. Your topic. In this stage, your group will research the information needed for your topic. Your group might have devised their own topic. We have listed numerous investigative suggestions, but please feel free to use your own. Pause the video now to devise your own topic. Research. In your groups, gather and review information needed to answer your question or to test your hypothesis. Think of different resources that you can use. Here are some questions that teachers in the past have given their students to get them started in their research. Pause now to dive into your research. And remember, you can always revert back to our resources page. Share. Choose one interesting fact you have found on your topic. Share on social media with parental permission. Record. Record information and remember to keep track of your sources. Evaluate the information you have collected. Does it answer your question or test your hypothesis? Does it raise more questions, and how can you answer these? Press pause now. Reflect on and discuss your preliminary findings and observations to compare these to your previous knowledge. You may need to clarify and modify your focus questions and inquiry plan. Be sure to download and fill out check-in number 2 worksheet as a group and hand it in to your teacher. Pause the video now in order to fill out your worksheet. Next, step 4, analyze and check. You will compare, sort, and classify information, describe characteristics, and note patterns here. Think of one solution idea that your group has discovered. With parental permission, share on social media or email us. Check in. Download and fill out the attached check-in number 3 worksheet as a group and hand it in to your teacher. Draw conclusions about your questions and hypothesis. Remember to focus on both the impacts of climate change on maple syrup and the actions required to address each impact. Please pause the video now and resume after you have completed worksheet number 3. Next, step 5, communicate. Communicate your inquiry findings and take action. Now your group is ready to turn its knowledge into action. This is a great opportunity to really get creative. Communicate your inquiry findings to your class and others. Think about what message you want to get across and tailor that message to your audience. You might produce a YouTube video, a PowerPoint presentation, a blog, the list goes on, you name it. Pause the video now to take a look at some of the options and get creative. Your audience does not have to be just your class. Think of other people who can benefit learning what you discovered. Pause the video now to examine this list below. Act. As you've been researching your inquiries, you have probably come across many calls to action, ideas for what you, your class, could do to make things better for maple syrup and everything that depends on it. There are many suggestions classes have for helping with maple syrup production. Pause the video now to take a look at this list and have a discussion. Plan. Developing a plan is a good way to start. You can share your plan with staff at GreenLearning. We'd be glad to help in any way we can. And lastly, share. Social media is an excellent way to communicate, and much of what you have created can be shared electronically. Check back to see if other classes have responded to you. Share on social media using #MapleSyrupGL or email programs@greenlearning.ca. Congratulations on completing GreenLearning's Maple Syrup Inquiry. You have successfully utilized the spiral inquiry model to spark a student investigation, hypothesize a plan, explore and research, analyze, and check, and finally, communicate and act.